Could you tell me about the four horsemen and what their antidotes are and what is an antidote?
Absolutely. So the four horsemen, this is a concept that Doctors John and Julie Gottman came up with when they were studying couples, and specifically couples in conflict. They wanted to know what these couples were doing that was helpful, and then what were some of the patterns that showed up in the research that were really harmful. And they found that there are four patterns of communication that when these four patterns show up in conflict in a couple, and there's no changing, there's no intervention, over time, these four patterns can be really destructive and all lead to divorce or breakup in relationships. And so the four patterns, the four horsemen are criticism, defensiveness, contempt, and stonewalling. Now, most couples experience some form of those in their relationships. It's very, very normal to have those. But like I said, if they go kind of unchecked over time, they can be very destructive to relationships. And so the Gottmans have done a lot of work in coming up with what they call their antidotes, or what couples can do instead of the destructive behavior. And they've had a lot of success in teaching couples these antidotes and how to use those in their relationships. They've had a lot of success in turning those relationships around and giving those couples more longevity, more connection in their relationships. And so those antidotes are for criticism. It's instead learning to communicate using a gentle or a softened start. For defensiveness, the antidote, which is much easier said than done, is taking responsibility for your part in the problem. Contempt is the third horseman. Contempt is actually the single greatest predictor of divorce in relationships. It's often referred to as like criticism on steroids. But the antidote for contempt, in addition to using that softened start, or not describing your partner, but describing yourself, it's also working to build a culture in your relationship of fondness and admiration and respect for one another. When you build it on that positivity, it's much harder to get stuck in that negative feedback loop of contempt for your partner. And then for stonewalling, the antidote is to be able to physiologically self-soothe. So recognizing when you're becoming flooded and learn how to take some deep breaths, how to de-escalate, or when necessary, how to initiate a break in that conversation in order to de-escalate and calm back down.